The Show Me State has started the process of providing small-scale cannabis business licenses. Each of Missouri's 8 congressional districts will soon see 2 microbusiness dispensaries and 4 microbusiness wholesale facilities pop up. In total, 1,625 applications were filed between July 27th and August 10th. Most of Mid-Missouri is split across districts 3 and 4. In the 3rd congressional district, 93 applications were made for dispensary licenses. 144 applications were submitted for wholesale licenses. In Congressional District 4, 124 dispensary applications came through and 127 requests to operate a wholesale business were made. This year's allotment of 48 microbusiness licenses will be issued no later than October 4th. Idalia has been downgraded to a tropical storm as it passes through Georgia and into South Carolina. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp has announced a state of emergency to free up state resources and personnel. He says although the storm has weakened, people still need to take it seriously.
It's a dangerous storm. People need to prepare. They need to be ready when it's coming through and either, move a county or 2 up if they have the ability to do that. If not, make sure they're in a secure location.
Officials expect the storm to weaken later tonight. American Red Cross officials are sending 10 Missouri volunteers to Florida in response to Hurricane Idalia. Mexico resident John Matthews is the only volunteer from Mid-Missouri area going. KRCG 13's Mark Slavitt reports live from American Red Cross headquarters in Columbia.
Good afternoon, Lauren. John Matthews has been an American Red Cross volunteer for more than 40 years. Matthews says his job is to help people on the worst days of their lives. John Matthews was ready to go to Hawaii and relieve some American Red Cross volunteers supporting wildfire victims when organization leaders changed his plans at the last minute. Matthews is now heading for Florida to help victims of Hurricane Idalia. He has plenty of experience helping set up shelters that must comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. The 40-year American Red Cross veteran says overseeing the construction of ramps for people in wheelchairs is just one example of his work during disasters.
The big tornado in Jefferson City, they gave John Matthews Memorial Ramp to what we were doing up there. I don't actually build the ramps, but I see that they are built if that is a need. But it's a good example of an accommodation that we can make to allow everyone to have an equal access to our services.
In addition to the 10 Missouri volunteers going to Florida, American Red Cross leaders deployed 33 other disaster responders from Missouri to support wildfire relief efforts in Hawaii, California, and Washington, as well as flooding in Missouri. Most American Red Cross deployments last 2 to 3 weeks.
Our biggest goal in sheltering work is the very first day that the shelter is open, we're working to close that shelter. So we're providing all of the resources that we can, not to make them comfortable, but to make them, allow them to live in a style that they can get out and get back into their routine of things. And we do that from day one.
77-year-old John Matthews plans to leave on a flight for Tallahassee, Florida tomorrow at noon. Matthews is asking everyone to support the American Red Cross with cash donations by clicking on redcross.org or by calling 800-RED-CROSS. Reporting live in Columbia, Mark Slavitt, KRCG 13.
Thank you, Mark. And the White House says President Biden has received briefings about Idalia and talked with the governors of Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina, offering whatever assistance they may need to deal with the disaster. This comes as politicians in Congress are preparing to launch an investigation into Biden's response to the wildfire disaster in Maui. Skylar Henry has more details from Capitol Hill.
Even before Idalia landed in Florida with high winds, a strong storm surge, and flooding rains, the federal government started moving people and supplies into place to help with the recovery.
We surged personnel to Florida to help the state move people quickly to safety and out of a danger zone.
More than 1,500 personnel are already on the ground, as are more than 540 search and rescue professionals. They've also moved critical supplies to the area that are frequently in short supply after disasters, such as food and water.
Those are personnel that will integrate in with the state personnel to go see what the damages are. But we also use technology, right? We use aerial imagery and satellite technology, and we use our geospatial information to get a better idea, so we don't have to physically put people out there.
Idalia comes as the federal government is still assisting Hawaii as it responds to the wildfires in Maui that killed at least 110 people.
House Republicans have widely criticized the handling of the Hawaii wildfires, and they say they plan to launch a probe into the federal response.
Congressman James Comer announced the investigation Tuesday with a statement saying the response by federal, state, and local officials to the catastrophic wildfire in Maui raises serious questions, and Americans, especially those impacted by this tragedy, deserve answers.
I'm happy to testify on what the federal role was in this process.
The Biden administration announced it'll spend $95 million to improve Hawaii's electrical grid to limit damage during future events. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The Transportation Security Administration is expecting this Labor Day weekend to be 11% busier than last year's. 14 million people are likely to pass through airports between Friday and Wednesday. The most are forecast to travel on Friday, but don't think you're going to beat the crowds by heading out of town a day early. Thursday actually has the most flights scheduled of any day over the long weekend.